that some of the language you'll hear on Blood on the Microphone can be adult in nature. This program is intended for a mature audience. Listener discretion is strongly advised.
Hello, dear friends. I'm the Reverend Apostle Bishop Ralph McWanka of the First Revealed Holy Church of God's Righteous Word and Holy Testament in Conway, South Carolina. And I hate to be the sort of person who says, I told you so, but I told you so. We had a chance, gentle listeners, to vote for a godly man, a decent man, a righteous man, whose only fault in the eyes of God was that he facilitated the sale of little Negro babies to rich families and then didn't give them the healthy little Negro babies they thought they was gonna get. But you didn't vote for him. You voted for Mark Sanford, who did dip his sinful wick into the lubricated tunnel of fornication over and over again on his many trips to the Appalachian Trail. And now, looky here. According to published news reports, his godly wife has accused this treacherous evil man that you voted for of trespassing on her property. Jenny Sanford confronted her husband, her former husband I should say, leaving her Sullivan's Island home on February 3rd by the rear door using his cell phone for a flashlight. Her attorney filed the complaint the next day and, well, Jenny has told me herself that the documents are authentic. The couple's 2010 divorce settlement says neither one may enter the other's home without permission. Mark Sanford lives about a 20-minute drive away in downtown Charleston. Mark Sanford is trying to revive his political career that God had ended after his extramarital affair that also ended the couple's marriage. He faces Democrat Elizabeth Colbert Bush on May 7th as he tries to regain the 1st District congressional seat he held for 3 terms in the 1990s. Now, see what you went and did. You voted for a man of sin. And as a result, he's gonna end up with a Democrat in Congress. Now I know that God says, judge not lest ye be judged, but all of you folks who voted for Sanford, you're going to hell. Plain and simple. Now please, open your hymnals to page 271, and those of you here in the cathedral, and those of you listening on the radio, please sing along.
When asked to choose for Congress, you had a choice between 2 kinds of guys. That choice was clear between the former governor and one who lived without blame in God's eyes. Who did you choose? Did evil win or fail? You chose the sin. The sin did win. Next time he hikes the Appalachian Trail, he'll laugh and grin. His sin Charleston town, and our beloved low country, adultery's more popular than Christ. When God looks down on our disgraceful country, how will he judge, and will we pay the price? Who did you choose? Did evil win or fail? You chose the sin did win. Next time he hikes the Appalachian Trail, he'll laugh and grin. His sin did win. He'll laugh and grin. His sin did win.
Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men?
Bill Schmalfeld, no.
Bill Schmalfeld, a man of meager means, a student of science, and a master of other people's minds, devotes his life to righting wrongs, solving crimes, protecting the innocent, and punishing the guilty, using advanced methods that may ultimately become available to all law enforcement agencies. A seemingly supernatural nemesis as haunting to the superstitious mind of a right-winger moron as a ghost, as inevitable as a guilty conscience. Only death will end his quest for social justice, and when that day happens and his voice is silenced, it will surely be as the result of blood on the microphone.
Which might otherwise be caused by a very bad case of gingivitis. A good afternoon to you, gentle listener, on this April 17th. I'm Bill Schmalfeld. Thank you for joining us on this Wednesday. It is Wednesday, isn't it? Yes, I believe it is, as a matter of fact. Yesterday was supposed to be a pretty big day for me. Now, perhaps we should have seen it coming. It was the same morning that yours truly had expected to receive my Nolle Prosequi. That's a Latin term. It means decline to prosecute. This would have allowed me to get on with my life, but somebody called in a bomb threat to the Carroll County Courthouse. And I'm reading this from the accounts on BreitbartUnmasked.com. Sheriff's officials said circuit court officials got an anonymous phone call around 8:30 that morning claiming that an explosive device had been left in one of the court buildings. Courthouse officials said the threat was not specific. The circuit and district court buildings were evacuated and closed for the day, so no Nolle Prosequi hearing for Bill Schmalfeld. Now, I assume that's something they'll do today, but I've just now checked the Maryland Judiciary case search, and I see that those 3 Carroll County cases are still listed as active. But I also have possession of a letter signed by the state's attorney from Carroll County telling me that the charges are going to be dropped and that I do not have to appear for these court cases. So, idiots, close the courthouse every day. See if it'll stop anything. Anyway, pardon me, traffic within the immediate area was detoured while law enforcement inspected the buildings using bomb-detecting canine teams and x-rays. Now, being the good citizen that I am, I took it upon myself to call the Carroll County Sheriff's Department to give them a little bit of direction, to give them a little gentle nudge, if you will, to kind of show them a direction, a way to look at the possibilities in their investigation. I recorded that call.
Hello, you've reached the desk of Detective Holmes. I'm not available. Please leave a name and a number and a brief message, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you. Bye.
Hi, Detective. My name is Bill Schmalfelt. I live in Elkridge, Maryland. I left a tip for you yesterday concerning a suspicion I have concerning the bomb threat at the Carroll County Courthouse yesterday. As I said, my name is Bill Schmalfelt, last name Schmalfeldt. I live in Elkridge, Maryland. And yesterday morning at 9 o'clock, I was supposed to have my final 3 cases, Nolle Prosequi, in the Carroll County Courthouse. These cases were filed by William John Joseph Hogue of Westminster. And this is the end of a long, tortuous road for me. And just to further the information, I had similar charges filed against me in Howard County. And when those cases were Nolle Prosequi, the people involved held a Everybody Contact the Howard County States Attorney's Day, which was an attempt to slow down and shut down the Howard County State's Attorney's Office. So Mr. Hogue and his associate, Aaron Walker of Virginia, do not seem overly thrilled at the idea of my cases being dismissed, and I believe they might be an interesting source to look at in your investigation as to who may have called in this bomb threat. As I said, Mr. Hogue, H-O-G-E, lives in Westminster, and I'm sure he would love to answer any questions you may have. And I would also suggest that you ask him to give you the contact information for his cohort, Mr. Aaron Walker. And I wish you the best of luck in your investigation. Again, my phone number is 410, and I would love to discuss this case with you. Thank you, and have a good day. Well, they must be on to somebody by now, because they haven't called me back. But, it's a slim thread, but I wouldn't put it past them. In the meantime, we must also take note of Los Angeles Deputy DA John Patrick Fry, who you may know as Puerto Rico, in a blog post last night in which he seems to blame me for the failed swatting of Eric Rush. Eric is that Eskimo piehead who tweeted that all Muslims should be killed. We'll talk more about that in just a minute. Now, again, back to the Breitbart Unmasked version of the story. Breezing past the delirious connections of this conspiracy theory, the paid public servant who doxed Nadia Naif for reporting her rape attempt by James O'Keefe dismisses all objections as conspiracy theory. Furthermore, this man who puts people in prison for a living insists that, via me, Brett Kimberlin is somehow responsible for 911 dispatchers calling Rush to see if he was okay. See, this is the horrible swatting that Eric Rush had to endure yesterday. According to Coloradoan.com, an individual claiming to be Rush called Fort Collins police on Monday at about 5 p.m., reporting that two men wielding AK-47 rifles were firing rounds inside his home. But no additional calls reporting the gunshots, and because the call came to 911 through a third-party relay service, police dispatchers were suspicious, so they called him up and said, "Hey, everybody all right?" And Rush said, "Oh, yeah, we're fine." Cops said, "Okay, bye." Now let's review. I was watching the coverage of the Boston Marathon bombing on Monday. Had my iPad on my lap. I was watching TV, scrolling my timeline, and this popped up from Eric Rush. Everybody do the national security ankle grab. Let's bring more Saudis into the country without screening them. Come on. And 13 minutes after he posted that, I posted, "Sweet God, are you already blaming Muslims?" And he responded almost instantly to Blood on the Mic, "Yes, they're evil. Let's kill them all." Well, now I had never heard of this Dick Munch before, and thought that was the end of it, but rightwingwatch.org picked up on Mr. Rush's tweet, seeing as I didn't know, but they knew, Mr. Rush is a frequent hate speaker and a guest from time to time on Fox News, as well as a writer for Weekly World News. I'm sorry, I mean the World Net Daily. Rush had deleted the tweet, but not until Right Wing Watch had screen capped it, and it went viral. It was seen by hundreds of thousands, if not millions, of people around the world. I got tweets from Turkey, where they saw it on TV, from Kuwait, from all over the Islamic world, showing gratitude for a single American who stood up in the face of this right-wing Islamophobic bigotry and hatred. See, they don't generally get good images of Americans over there. The vast majority of us who respect Islam as a world religion and do not automatically jump to conclusions that the Muslims did it when there's a tragedy. Millions of people across the globe saw this tweet. And not every tweet I received in return was a happy tweet. For one thing, there were a lot of Muslims who misunderstood the fact that with my name next to Eric Rush's name, they thought that I was sharing Eric Rush's viewpoint. There may have been a language barrier in some of these cases. I wrote to each individually and sent them a copy of the screen cap that Right Wing Watch was thoughtful enough to save. I also got a great deal of hate tweets from people who support Eric Rush. Here's one from Wendy Jo Mason, who has a Benghazi 4 black ribbon on her avatar and a flag on her header. "We the people." That's what it says. How somebody can say these things standing in front of an American flag. Let's see. Hey, at least, this is directed to me. Hey, at least I'm not a Muslim-loving baby killer liberal like yourself. What? And you stand in front of the American flag and say that? Here's one from somebody named Tara. Her handle is at Foy, F-O-Y, Bella, B-E-L-L-A. She's a figure skating coach, a Lutheran, a Republican. She runs the house, music lover, metal to bluegrass, lives up in Connecticut, I guess. And And she's, in her profile picture, she's also got the Benghazi 4 black ribbon, and she's standing there holding what looks like a civilian version of the M16, looking at it with love in her eyes. Hey, terrorists, you freaking pussies, show us your ugly faces. You sneak away into our crowds, cowering from our authorities. Come forward. And then she calls me a name-calling liberal. And then says, my sister witnessed the explosion in Boston with her fiancé. I asked her, did she see any Iranians fleeing the scene? That's brotherhood. That's understanding. Well, I don't suppose it'll be long before Deputy D.A., who, as has been noted on Breitbart Unmasked, has the power to get people executed by the state of California. I don't suppose it'll be long before he tries to blame me for yesterday morning's bomb threat in Carroll County by coming up with some sort of elaborate motive for me to delay my own vindication. But in the meantime, the usual suspects are chiming in. Here's a tweet from Aaron Worthing. You forgot to mention that Schmalfeld previously threatened to swat WJJ Hogue. No, I didn't. That was one of the charges that was dismissed. That was the charge that had me using a static IP that belongs to some cat in Kansas City. I never threatened to swat anyone, Worthing. And every time you say that, you just add to the pile of lies. And he continues. So, first Bill Schmalfeld threatens to swat WJJ Hogue, and then he argues with Eric Rush, and he is swatted. The coincidences pile up. A, I did not threaten to swat Hogue. In your dream world and Hogue's fantasy world, perhaps, but in the real world, no. And I didn't argue with Eric Rush. It takes two people to have an argument. He ran and hid. He has nothing to say to me because he knows I'll ask hard questions. Right, Stranahan? Oh, Stranahan. And even Stranahan wrote this. Even after he's swatted, Eric Rush is still being intimidated by blood on the mic. Another Kimberlin-connected swatting. Getting a polite phone call from the police asking if you're okay is not a swatting, Stranahan. You know what is a swatting? It's when you knowingly and falsely accuse somebody of rape and send the cops to his house. And the cops come into my house and they see this old man who can barely walk and they look through his computer. That's a swatting. That's a swatting, Stranahan. Welcome to the new conspiracy theory. Same as the old conspiracy theory, now with extra stupid. Here's what Mr. Fry should do. He should get a copy of the 9/11 audio of the Rush phone call. Whoever called 911 to report that Rush was firing AK-47s. Have that voice compared to my voice here on the podcast. Maybe some other voices besides. Aaron Walker should also release the audio of his own alleged swatting for the same purposes. Maybe something like this our friend Matt Osborne compiled some months ago. The first voice you hear is Stranahan's broadcast partner, Brandon Darby, former FBI snitch. Darby's voice is mashed in with the voice of the swatter in several of these swatting incidents. Now, you tell me if these sound at all similar.
I can't come down there right now. The point that journalists and contributors... Yes, I killed my wife. Basically counters their narrative. Shot my wife, so would embrace that argument and take it up. 30 Millard Court. They could come down there. That Fox News should not be allowed to say it. And that's she's dead now. the time in my day, and like the woman. Well, I know where she's located. The sunset, the sunrise, the things to focus on. Reading. Because she's going to call the police on me again. But do I really have to answer that question at this point? I don't know. I guess you're going to have to find out. I'm gonna shoot someone else soon. It's me. Hey, Pat, you remember me, buddy? It's me that swatted you, buddy. How about I punk you one more time for old time's sake, huh?
Now, do those voices sound at all familiar to you? Or all similar, I should say. Do those voices sound like they're all the same person to you? Well, I believe the FBI has got a copy of that, and I believe they'll analyze it, and I believe that they will determine that Brandon Darby did that. That's just my belief. That's my belief. All you got to do is do a voice analysis, and a voice print is like a fingerprint. You can't lie. Meanwhile, as Nadia Naif draws nearer to her date of justice tomorrow, Deputy D.A. Fry is becoming more and more unhinged. Read his Twitter feed and see for yourself. Good old Puerto Rico is probably going to blow a blood vessel or eat a gun, whichever, but his lunacy increases by the minute. His latest foam-flecked tweet to me suggests that I feel Eric Rush deserved to be swatted. Let's get one thing straight first. Eric Rush was not swatted. Getting a polite phone call from the cops asking if you're okay is not swatting. Me, I had cops pounding at my door, looking through my computer, treating me as if I was a would-be rapist. Me, with 13 years of Parkinson's disease, bent over, can't walk without a rolling walker and my wife's help. I'd have to ask my wife to drive me the 1,400 miles to Dallas to do the raping, and Stranahan still insists he was right in sending the cops to my house. These are fools, gentle people. Fools, idiots, and morons. Fry will be taken care of by the courts tomorrow. I hope Nadia Naif leaves him at least a cardboard refrigerator box to live in. As you've heard, I've called the Carroll County Sheriff's Office and have given them a lead to investigate into the bomb threat they received. And if I had my way, mark me, if I had my way, which I don't always have, I would sue the whole lot of them for dragging me and my family through this festering slime pit over the last several months, costing time away from my mother as she was dying, costing me aggravation, and according to my neurologist on Monday, increasing my Parkinson's symptoms. I don't care if these boys have a pot to piss in. I would gladly take the pot and make them piss on their walls. Except I'd take the walls too. But these sorts of decisions are not entirely mine to make. If it were entirely my choice, I would make these bastards pay for what they've done to me and my wife, but I suppose karma will have to do that for me.
Blood on the microphone.
And now it's time for another Medical Minute. Here with some interesting medical facts is retired writer-editor for the National Institutes of Health in Bethesda, Maryland, Bill Schmalfelt.
We know Aaron Walker is just being cautious when he sends his wife out to look underneath the car to see if there are any bombs under it. He hides either in the house or behind some bomb-proof shield while she gets on her hands and knees and rolls around on the garage floor looking for incendiary devices. But is he being as careful as he needs to be? Recent studies have shown that terrorists have developed the capability to implant small incendiary devices inside a person's body while that person is asleep. And in cases where they want to really work at it and really make sure they've got a good attachment of the device, they have been known to chloroform people while they were sleeping so they can really get up in there in the colon and attach the incendiary device to the colon wall. Today we speak to a colorectal expert who was asked to remain anonymous for obvious reasons. You are a certified colorectal doctor, and you found many instances where people have had actual incendiary devices implanted in their colons while they were asleep. Now, can you tell us how to locate one of these incendiary devices in an otherwise healthy colon?
Yes, of course. What we're looking at in this image is a big polyp that has
a bomb
in it. And you could see that this
deadly explosive
polyp is almost completely involving the entire center of the inside of the colon, of the lumen. Now, it's actually like a ball. You see how it moves back and forth on a very thick stalk. So it doesn't actually obstruct. And on each side, there's a dark tattoo that was placed there by an endoscopist to label this so that when it gets removed, which is going to have to be done surgically, it could be found by a surgeon. You see the surface looks very nodular and very irregular, and that's because there's
plastic explosives
on the surface that's growing into the stalk. And this patient also had no symptoms because they presented with anemia. This polyp had just been slowly dripping some blood and causing some leakage of the blood into the bowel, which eventually caused anemia. We're now using a blue light known as narrowband imaging, and what you could see is the pattern of the swirls on the surface become more irregular as we look at parts of the polyp that have the
cleverly hidden explosive device
in it. It allows us to distinguish normal tissue from abnormal tissue in that blue light. Now, this polyp, as it gets bigger, can actually obstruct and cause complete blockage. But it probably started years ago from a smaller polyp that was completely benign, that over time genetic mutations occurred,
which terrorists found perfect for the implantation of the device,
that now needs to be removed surgically. The good news is that by removing it surgically, there's still a very good chance of cure.
Unless the device explodes while still in his colon, at which time we all will be killed. Well, we hope that doesn't happen, Doctor, and we hope that you have a successful surgery with this unfortunate patient. But once again, this proves you cannot be too careful as far as paranoia is concerned. You could have bombs under your car, in your toaster, in your coffee maker, or anywhere in your body, as we will explain throughout the course of today's program. Thank you again, Doctor. I'm retired NIH writer-editor Bill Schmalfelt, and this has been another Medical Minute. What happens when a family of midgets lives in a rundown house filled with junk?
We gotta stop living like this.
When the health department came to inspect the house, they couldn't even get the door open.
They had boxes full of rotting pizza stacked up against the door.
Look, I still have old used Pampers from when I was a baby, and I'm 35 years old. This room we're standing in, full of old dirty Pampers. Don't cut yourself on anything, it's a death sentence.
There are little people living in a great big mess.
Even the cats won't come in anymore.
Little people, big hoarders. Tonight at 10, 9 Central, on the Learning Channel.
The number you have dialed has been changed. The new number is...
Blood on the microphone.
Please note, the new number is...
Blood on the microphone.
Hello. My name is R. Crazy McStain, and my very good friend, Patrick Fry, a deputy district attorney in Los Angeles County, California, has given me 2 packs of generic cigarettes, a half-gallon of Ripple, and a condom to come out here today and tell you that Bill Schmalfeld is entirely responsible for the terrible swatting of legendary right-wing hate-monger Eric Rush. Please excuse my voice once again, as I must use this electronic voice box after losing my larynx due to heavy alcohol abuse and nicotine abuse over many, many years. See, I have to smoke through the hole in my throat. Mr. Rush, like much of America, was riveted to his television screen on Monday afternoon as 2 bombs exploded at the finish line of the Boston Marathon. Being a wise man, Mr. Rush immediately knew that if we didn't hurry up and blame it on Muslim extremists, someone might wise up and try to stick this crime on Tea Party members. Excuse me. Oh, that really burns the ulcer. So, Mr. Rush tweeted out a message that got sent all over the Twitter thing, in which he blamed President Obama for allowing Saudi students to enter the country without being screened, even though it was none of his beeswax. Bill Schmalfeld just had to stick his nose in. Excuse me, my mouth is dry. God, I can feel that all the way down. He wrote, "Sweet God, taking the Lord's name in vain, which is a sin. Are you already blaming Muslims?" See how his snotty attitude of moral superiority just seeps through the words. Well, Mr. Eric Rush did not get to where he is today by letting obscure nobodies like Bill Schmalfeld hold him accountable for his words. Yes, he tweeted back, "They are evil. Let's kill them all." The tweet went viral. Soon it had circulated the globe. Mr. Rush deleted the tweet, but the crybabies at Right Wing Watch had already screen capped it, so Eric was pretty much stuck with his words. He started getting hate tweets from all over the world. Bill Schmalfeld invited Eric to be a guest on his radio show, as if someone with the prominence of Eric Rush would consent to be on a show where the environment was not controlled and the host might ask uncomfortable questions. And that's not the worst of it. Yesterday, someone called the police in Colorado, where Mr. Rush lives, and reported Mr. Rush and a friend were firing AK-47s in the air. Excuse me. 12 steps my ass. Since there were no other reports of gunshots, the police politely called Mr. Rush, asked if he was okay, and then just dismissed the calls as a prank. Prank my ass. It was Bill Smallfelt. Bill Smallfelt somehow found out which state Eric Rush lives in, narrowed it down to the address, called the cops, and hoped they would storm into his home and kill him without asking questions. Now, some might say it could have been any one of the millions of people around the world who were angered by Mr. Rush and his declaration that all Muslims should be killed. But you don't know this Bill Smallfelt. He is evil, and someone should put a bullet in his head. Not that I am suggesting that anyone do that, but someone should. I'm R. Crazy McStain, managing editor of Viral Screed and my personal blog, The Underwear Stain. And if you don't mind, I am going to finish this wine and see if I can find someone who wants to help me use this condom.
I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I appreciate the American spirit so much. I mean, look how people can take a tragedy like what happened in Boston on Monday, and not even 2 days later, really, make jokes about it. I mean, look at the way that the clever comedian Rush Limbaugh ties this whole discovery that pressure cookers were used to make these bombs. Look how he very neatly and deftly ties this into the gun control debate. Listen, this is just a comic genius at work.
Well, I don't know. Background check on a pressure cooker may happen. Could well happen. Do the mentally ill use pressure cookers? I'm trying to think. I think, when I was growing up, I saw one. I think my grandmother had a pressure cooker. If I'm not mistaken, I saw one being used. It was on the top of her stove. That's my grandmother. I didn't know she was so dangerous. She had a pressure cooker, and it was on the top of the stove. There was something in it. I don't know what she had in it, but it was on top of the stove, and it was smoke coming out of there. It was, something was escaping from it. Well, yeah, if it would have exploded had the pressure cooker top not been on top of the pressure cooker, keeping the pressure inside. But if something would have happened and she could have blown up the kitchen, everybody in it. Private sales of pressure cookers. Well, I don't know how you stop that. I don't know how you're going to stop a pressure cooker private sale. Like, look at my grandmother. So my grandmother didn't like hers and wanted to sell it to somebody down the street. How are you going to stop that? I don't know unless you registered them.
This is Blood on the Microphone.
What happens when the head of a hillbilly family murders his fat little daughter and then hides her body in a storage bin?
I swear to God, we could hear her in there laughing at us as we look through the junk.
These storage warriors are getting more than they bargained for.
I got home that night and all I wanted to do was drink Red Bull and Mountain Dew. And I hate Red Bull and Mountain Dew.
There's nothing but crap in here and it smells horrible.
Do you hear that?
Oh my God!
Storage War Ghost Finders. Tonight at 10, 9 Central on The Learning Channel. I'm just like everyone else in America. I've been on an antidepressant medication as long as I can remember. And it worked. Every morning I'd get out of bed, take my medication, and look forward to a bright new day full of promise and adventure. Then by the end of the day, the realization that I still had the same dead-end bullshit job, and my wife was still the nagging bitch she always has been, and my kids were still disobedient little brats, I go to bed every night just horribly despondent over the way my life was turning out. That's when I asked my doctor about Acceptitol.
Acceptitol, fluvocertraperoxapam, has been clinically proven to eliminate emotions and expectations in adults.
Now I take an Acceptitol every morning and nothing matters. My boss is a jerk? Meh. My wife cheats on me with the UPS guy? Meh. My kids are sniffing glue? Meh. I just don't care anymore.
Acceptitol has been shown to cause explosive bloody diarrhea, congestive heart failure, dry skin, dry mouth, dry eyes, and bad breath in dogs. Don't take Acceptitol if you are driving, handling heavy machinery, or firearms until you know what effect Acceptitol will have on your inner rage. Acceptitol has also been shown to cause cancer of the liver, cancer of the anus, cancer of the heart, and sudden death from otherwise unexplained reasons. Don't take Acceptitol if you have a reason to wake up in the morning. Acceptitol should not be taken while drinking alcohol, smoking, or breathing. Ask your doctor about studies that show Acceptitol may be responsible for spontaneous combustion in people over 40. Acceptitol should never be taken in combination with any other drug. Your doctor does not have time to explain all the risks, so have someone read the tiny print in the FDA-required warning pamphlet to you.
I used to want to kill myself. Now I just don't care. Thank you, Acceptitol.
If you are just sick of it all but don't have the guts to kill yourself, ask your doctor if Acceptitol will help you. Not to be taken internally, externally, or sublingually, available in 10-pound suppository form only.
You are listening to Blood on the Microphone.
Ever been down to Texas? Interesting place, interesting characters. You may be listening down in Texas for all I know, and a lot of interesting things coming out of there. This congressman that they've been talking about lately, Steve Stockman, for instance, yeah, he's one of the new ones. He's one of the new Tea Party congressmen from Texas, and he's got a particularly interesting campaign slogan for his next election. Did you hear about that? If babies had guns, they wouldn't be aborted. Well, that's just silly. I mean, first of all, how are you going to get a gun in there? Okay, I mean, without hurting the mother. And at 24 weeks, the upper edge of the legal age at which a fetus can be aborted, there's just not going to be the hand strength to pull the trigger. And where's the kid going to get the ammo? I mean, at 24 weeks, the brain is not sufficiently developed to really be aware of its surroundings. So if Congressman Stockman thinks giving fetuses guns is going to stop them from being aborted, I'm afraid that a 24-week-old fetus is just not going to know what to do with it, for one thing. And even if you could set it up to where the moment the sperm meets the egg, not only is a zygote formed, but a little gun is formed too. And the gun grows as the baby grows, and the baby instinctively learns how to use it while he's inside his mommy. Who's to say that child is not going to come out at full term blasting? I mean, think about it. There you are. You're safe. You're warm. You're floating in fluid. You're clutching onto your Bushmaster. And you feel that first contraction. What's your first reaction going to be? Holy God, what's going on here? And then you feel the squeezing, and you see this opening, and there's light through it, and you're like, oh, no, what the, ah! And suppose you're a twin, identical, fraternal, it doesn't matter, or triplets even. Imagine what that would be like if you each had a gun, each of these little babies inside the mommy had a gun, and they had a disagreement. There's just no room to walk off 10 paces inside a uterus. Believe me, I know, I've been there. I'm a twin myself. And it's not like you'd have to be an expert marksman or anything at close quarters like that, but imagine the collateral damage if you miss the twin and take out a kidney or something. That's not going to be very good for mom, and it's not going to be good for you in the long run when she has to have a kidney removed. Or, for God's sake, what if one of your bullets bounces off of her spine and ricochets up to her heart? Then everybody dies. And think of the poor Octomom. Can you imagine the gunfight at the OK Corral that would have gone on in there? But practical considerations aside, imagine a single full-term baby being born with a gun. So when the doctor's got his hands on your head, you got your finger wrapped around the trigger of your Bushmaster, and when you come out, you're seeing things you've never seen before. Think of an alien coming out of a spaceship. A brand new baby doesn't know who we are or what human beings look like. The little bastard's just going to start shooting. Would make for an interesting movie idea, though.
In a world of amniotic fluid and darkness, with only the sound of a beating heart to keep you company, you think you're safe. But little Johnny McStain wasn't taking any chances.
Go ahead, Mommy. Make my birthday.
Arnold Schwarzenegger is Johnny McStain, baby with a Bushmaster.
One more push, Mrs. McStain. The baby's crowning. One more push, and here he is, and... oh, God, he's packing heat!
Hasta la vista, Mommy.
Baby with a Bushmaster.
Okay, the rest of you here in the nursery. Come with me if you want to live.
Baby with a Bushmaster. No uterus could hold him. No hospital could keep him overnight without the free consent of the health insurance company.
Go ahead without me, Johnny. Your last round caught me in the leg.
Stay with me, Stella. I've never lost a baby yet. We are getting out of this hellhole.
Baby with a Bushmaster.
It's a boy.
Baby with a Bushmaster. The film is not yet rated. Coming this summer.
I have to go potty, but I'll be back.
In utero, no one can hear you scream.
I was looking at Stephen Stockman's Twitter one day, and I laughed at the thing that I saw. Oh, he may be a congressman of Tea Party ways, but horse sense is what he ain't got. I'm quick on the uptake. I'd like to get a tax break from our new Texas congressman. But I know damn for certain my name ain't Richard Burton, and you can't give a fetus a gun. When I'm with a girlie, her hair all blonde and curly, and we have some illicit fun. In a condom I trusted, she sees that it got busted. Still you can't give a fetus a gun. If she's knocked up, 'cause you cocked up, no, you can't give a fetus a gun. She won't need extortion, just pay for her abortion, 'cause they're safe when they're cleanly done. The pro-lifers will gird her and holler baby murder. They can yell, cuss, and fight, but a gal's got the right, and you can't give a fetus a gun. And if you could do it,
You'd probably live to rue it, arming some woman's baking bun. 'Cause a gun would confuse it, it won't know how to use it. Oh, you can't give a fetus a gun. Unborn armed with weapons might just be born as felons if they shoot at and kill someone. When they take aim and then miss, there would be abortionists. No, you can't give a fetus a gun. From the birth room to the courtroom, no, you can't give a fetus a gun. In Texas, we don't care if you don't think that it's fair that we'll charge you for murder. 1. No ifs, ands, or maybes. We got death row for babies. And you won't get a hug, just a heart-stopping drug. Oh, you can't give a fetus a gun.
Blood on the microphone.
It's an obsession nobody talks about.
It's like they're little and big at the same time, and they're just so cute.
Some say it's a crazy obsession.
There's just something about the way they smell.
But is it illegal? Is it immoral?
The judge says it's okay to look, but not to touch.
But some let their crazy obsession ruin their lives.
Come here, you fat little cutie. Get in the basket. Get in the basket.
My crazy obsession with big fat American gypsy toddlers with tiaras. Tonight at 10, 9 Central on the Learning Channel.
Well, let's see what they have on the headlines at Breitbart.com today. Here's the lead story. Democrats, quote, confident, close quote, to have the votes to bring gun control bill to Senate. And then there's a picture of a big old steamroller running over a bunch of guns. That's what'll happen, you know.
Breitbarts! Stay away. You think you all will be real writers any day. Breitbarts! What a pain. Telling lies takes no ethics and little brain. Good stint, name and print, right-wing daydream makes all of the rich wing nuts cream. Breitbarts! Brain attack. Hate Obama and not just because he's black. Breitbarts! You should quit. Don't give me that right-wing nut bullshit. You're in the wing nut line machine no one ever trusts, not since your leader bit the dust.
Well, that's a harsh way of looking at it. But let's see what else is on the pages of Breitbart.com today. Well, here's a story about... Oh, and it's an exclusive. Palin advisors. Unconscionable mainstream press exploited Thatcher's death for smears. You see, Sarah Palin tied herself to Margaret Thatcher, who wouldn't piss on her if she was on fire. This is written by Tony Lee. He says, mainstream media publications immediately exploited the passing of former British Prime Minister Margaret Thatcher on Monday to again advance their political agendas
by falsely smearing former Alaska governor and Republican vice presidential candidate Sarah Palin. In a rush to write whatever they could to tarnish both, outlets like Politico and the Washington Post have resorted to, quote, reporting, unquote, on a fictitious story and an imaginary trip that has been debunked years ago. And there's so much more, it makes my head hurt to look at it. And then there's this story about how peace in the Middle East that won't do anything to solve terrorism. Secretary of State John Kerry echoing, by the way, this is by William Bigelow. Secretary of State John Kerry echoing the old anti-Israel canard that peace in the Middle East is dependent on a resolution to the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, expanded that idea to the rest of the world, as he told reporters in Jerusalem on Monday. I am intensely focused on this issue and the region because it's vital, really, to American interests and regional interests to try and advance the peace process, because this festering absence of peace is used by groups everywhere to recruit and encourage extremism. Of course! How could we be so stupid? All the Islamic extremism in the world, all the terrorists worldwide, would simply beat their swords into plowshares if only Israel could make peace with the Palestinians. It ought to be simple, really. Let Israel hand over all the territory the Palestinians regard as theirs, exile the Jews, and terrorism will come to a crashing halt. Pat Robertson said pretty much the same thing. He said that John Kerry was risking bringing down the wrath of God on America by trying to solve the Middle East conflict. I'll tell you what, Breitbart News and Pat Robertson, they know more about God than you do.
It's a shame. You're the cause of so much hatred. You're to blame. Breitbarts! So they say. You're the cause of much evil today. But if you search for the truth, it's no surprise they're giving none away. Away, 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 away.
Blood on the microphone.
Well, I guess that's going to do her for today. I still see that they haven't gotten around to getting my name cleared off the Maryland Judiciary case search results yet, but I don't know if there's been another bomb threat or anything, so we'll see. I do know I don't have to go, so it's like, not that I'm worried about it. It's just, it would be nice to look up there and see closed, like it's supposed to be, like it was supposed to be yesterday, before somebody called in a bomb threat. Gosh, I hope they find out who that was. In the meantime, I'm Bill Schmalfelt. This has been Blood on the Microphone, and you know what? We'll do this again tomorrow.
The weed of crime bears bitter fruit. Crime does not pay.
Bill Schmalfeld's Blood on the Microphone. internet radio show broadcast each weekday live at noon Eastern Time on Spreaker Web Radio. Then available on demand 24/7 on Spreaker, as well as the oldunclebastard.com website, and on the Stitcher Radio on Demand application. Copyright Bill Schmalfeld. All rights reserved. If you would join Bill Schmalfeld in his war against evil right-wingers, you may contact him via Twitter at Blood on the Mic. That's at BLOODONTHEMIKE. Or you may like his Facebook page at facebook.com/Bloody Mike. That's BLOODYMIC. And remember, right-wingers, he's coming for you.